I think now gold and silver is now starting the next phase up. Gold is the king of the metals, and that's what you should have the majority of. And then for speculation and spectacular gains, because silver will move probably at least twice as fast as gold in my view. But we've seen so many investors that they can't take the corrections. For example, silver also corrects twice as fast, and that's why we tell investors that for wealth preservation purposes, gold will pay you as much return as you want. And you don't need to have silver. If you want to have a bit of silver for fun, yes, absolutely, because it will have spectacular gains.
From the start of the year until December 19th, 2023, the price of gold rose from $1,839.01 per troy ounce to $2,030.11, marking a 10.39% increase. On Thursday, December 21st, gold prices continued their ascent, buoyed by a weaker US dollar and lower Treasury yields. The gold market maintained its sideways fluctuation, showcasing a double-top pattern with a confirmation line of $2,046.50. Anticipations of breaching this level fuel expectations for robust positive momentum, pushing the price beyond the awaited target, $2,065.70, and potentially aiming for the significant milestone of $2,100. Egon von Greyerz sees gold as the bedrock of a wealth preservation strategy, historically recognized as a stable asset amidst economic uncertainties. Many investors consider gold to be the ultimate safe haven asset. When the prices of stocks, bonds, and real estate drop sharply, gold may hold its value, and can even appreciate as nervous investors rush in to buy. Conversely, Egon regards silver as an asset ripe for speculative gains, attracting investors seeking swift profits. However, its volatility poses challenges, with silver prices prone to rapid and substantial corrections, causing investor unease. Silver has declined by 0.56% since the year's inception, swinging between a 52-week high of $26.13 on May 4, 2023, and a low of $19.90 on March 9, 2023. These fluctuations underscore the vulnerabilities within the silver market, especially its susceptibility to manipulation. Major banks' substantial positions in the futures market could influence silver's price movements, amplifying its susceptibility to significant price swings and corrections. Meanwhile, recent events, such as the actions of central banks, particularly the criticism leveled at the Swiss National Bank for excessively expanding its balance sheet, are noteworthy. Such expansion is deemed currency gambling, deviating from the primary mandate of central banks, which typically safeguards the financial system's stability. Egon emphasizes the risks associated with disproportionately large banking systems, reflecting the vulnerabilities observed in global banking systems. This underscores the advocacy for wealth, safeguarding through the ownership of physical gold and silver stored outside the traditional banking system. We'll be sharing clips from Egon von Greyerz's interview with Robert Kiyosaki. But before that, if you'd like more videos, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for updates. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
Gold is the one, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you with silver. It's got tremendous potential, but for wealth preservation purposes, in my view, that gold is the king of the metals. And that's what you should have the majority of. Then for speculation and spectacular gains, because silver will move probably at least twice as fast as gold in my view. But we've seen so many investors that they can't take the corrections. For example, silver also corrects twice as fast, and that's why we tell investors that for wealth preservation purposes, gold will pay you as much return as you want. And you don't need to have silver. If you want to have a bit of silver for fun, yes, absolutely, because it will have spectacular gains. But it'll make you very nervous every time it corrects also. And it can easily correct 30, 40, 50%. The silver is such a small market, and it's easy to manipulate. And as you probably know, some of the big banks in New York, in the US, have had major positions in the futures markets in silver. So they are, partly manipulating that market. So it's been easy for them. But of course, as soon as I think they will fail next time, I think now gold and silver is now starting the next phase up. And I said that in my last newsletter, or the one, that basically they're not going to be able to hold it back. Gold is going to move to new highs, and then once it moves through this level, 2001, 2001, it's going to move a lot faster, and silver will start at $30 quickly and then move up. But again, so I think silver will catch up and therefore it is a good speculative investment. Inflation has always been low in the UK, and the currencies have been strong, but especially so before they started to expand the balance sheets of the banks and the national bank. And now they are doing the same as any other central bank. But for Switzerland, the central bank is too big for the country, and the banking system is about 5-6 times Swiss GDP. The Swiss banking system, that is too big for the country. The Swiss National Bank is already a balance sheet of 100% of GDP. That's not money printing to save banks. That's money printing for currency gambling, if you want, which they shouldn't get involved in at all, and for gambling in US tech stocks, which has nothing to do with the central bank. I mean, I don't think central banks should exist at all in the first place, but that's another.
I agree.
But they certainly shouldn't do what the Swiss National Bank is doing. So therefore, yes, the Swiss banking system, sadly, and I love Switzerland, and I think, as I said, the political system is by far the best in the world. But the Swiss banks, a banking system now has the same risk as any other banking system. That's why, of course, we're saying, you must store your gold outside or silver outside the banking system. So what I'm saying is, now, even the private banks have got too greedy, some of them at least. So I've always said for years, especially since we started in the wealth preservation business. We started that for ourselves, by the way. We started with our own money, and we didn't intend to offer it to people outside. But then after having done that for a few years, people came to us and said, "Can you help us?" And that's why now we have people in helping people in 90 countries. But so the and of course it's all based on, if you have a wealth preservation asset to protect you against the events that we see coming in the next few years, and gold is the obvious one here, and some silver. But you shouldn't obviously keep it in the system which you're trying to protect yourself against.
There is a significant focus on China's growing debt burden, particularly following Moody's revision of the country's credit rating due to perceived broad downside risks resulting from extensive borrowing. This attention is justified, especially as the latest global debt monitor from the IMF highlighted China's overall debt-to-GDP ratio increasing fourfold since the 1980s, with a particularly rapid surge over the past decade. The IMF states that over half of the global economy's increase in debt-to-GDP ratio since 2008 is solely attributable to an unparalleled escalation in China. Despite China's substantial debt, attributed partly to speculative activities in real estate and other sectors, Egon believes their financial system could be managed more efficiently than other parts of the world. He also forecasts a future scenario where countries like the US, England, and Switzerland might find themselves subordinate to China. Egon also criticizes the US for its involvement in various international conflicts, highlighting that these issues extend beyond local disputes and are entwined with broader geopolitical tensions. Conflicts, such as the situation in Ukraine, should not be seen merely as a dispute between Ukraine and Russia. Instead, it represents a broader geopolitical struggle involving the US, Russia, and China. Let's get back to the interview.
The only advantage China has is that its financial system is very local, is not dependent on the rest of the world. So if they can contain it within China, then it'll be easier for them to actually survive a crisis, which they will have to. The only problem China could have, if you get some, they have to feed the people, because if you get social unrest, there can be real problems in China. But I think the financial system, they will be able to keep under a better control than the rest of the world, although they are also massively indebted, through also massive speculation in property and other areas. Europe is, of course, on a decline, and we don't need to talk about BRICS, etc. But the move is clearly from west to east, or from west and south to east. So So the Western culture now it's come to an end. It doesn't. Cultures don't end overnight, as we saw with the Roman Empire. It takes a long time, but we now come to a point when at some point in the next few years, I don't know how long it will take. You will have the Americans and this English and the Swiss. They will be au pairs in China. The U.S. is trying to conduct wars in every country it can. That is nothing to do with it, sadly.
Yeah.
And both the war. I mean, as we both know, the war in Ukraine is not Russia against Ukraine. It's the U.S. against Russia and China.
Right.
And same with Israel. Is not Israel against Gaza or Hamas. It's the U.S. totally backing Israel again. And of course, the war in the Middle East, I would say, is almost more serious because that you have the whole Muslim and Arab world against the Western world, represented mainly by the U.S. at this point. And that could be very dangerous because remember, Muslims is not just countries conducting war. There are Muslims around in every country in the world, as we have seen with the immigration. Right. A lot of horrible things can happen with riots and insurrections, and then we will have the rise, which is coming already, of the right wing or the Nazi parties fighting immigration, etc. So I see, sadly, a risk of a lot of social unrest in the world also.
The retreat in gold prices is attributed to the renewed strength of the US dollar, causing consolidation below the $2,050 mark. A breakthrough above $2,050 is anticipated to propel gold toward the next resistance levels between $2,065 and $2,075. Similarly, if silver surpasses the $24.50 threshold, it is expected to target the nearest resistance range between $25 and $25.30. What are your thoughts on the future price movements of gold and silver? Share your observations in the comments section below. Also, ensure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.